Hi Year 9, so we're going to start a new topic this week. It'll be a brand new topic for all of you, so you'll really need to concentrate. What I do recommend is that everything that we cover in this video today, that you make sure that you get inside your exercise books. Now, if you run out of space in your exercise book, then you'll need to get some paper, or like you can see here, I've got some jotters and stuff like that, so to make sure everything's sort of all in place. Now, we're going to look at the fundamentals today of trigonometry, so just learning some of the little bits that make it a lot easier. Now, in Year 9, okay, we're just going to look at trig in right angle triangles. Okay, you can use non-right angle triangles, but we're just going to look at right angle triangles for the next few weeks. Okay, and as we looked in Pythagoras earlier this year, do you remember square, square, pong, root and all that? We knew that there's a relationship between the three sides, and there is also, you'll find, a relationship or a ratio between the sides and the angles in a right angle triangle, and we're going to explore that further. Okay, right, the first thing you've got to be able to do with trig, and that's always my step one when solving a trig question, is being able to label the sides. Now, if we look at this first one, remember from when we did Pythagoras, we always said that the line, the longest line, and it's always looking out at the window at the right angle, is called the hypotenuse. Okay. Then the two shorter sides, now they can vary. This time we have an angle in the question. Now the angle in the question could be x. Now it's never this one because that we know is always a right angle. Now x could be here or here. Sometimes you see this is written as theta. Okay, it's basically the angle in the question. That's how you spell theta. It's a Greek symbol. Okay, now this line here is next to the angle in the question. Okay, so therefore I call it the adjacent. Adjacent's a word for next to. Okay, and then this line here is called the opposite. See, it's looking out at the window at the angle in the question, so it's the opposite. Okay, so if I look at these two examples here, see, I've got my felt tips out here, colour coding everything. Now, I don't need to write adjacent, opposite and hypotenuse every time. I can just use O, A and H. Okay, so here I started off with the longest side, so this was my hypotenuse. This one here is opposite the angle in the question. It would be no good if both of them were labelled, you wouldn't know which one it is, so you only have one angle in the question. And then here, adjacent, because it's next to it. Okay, if I look at this one here is the longest side because it's opposite the right angle, so that's the hypotenuse. This one here is adjacent because it's next to the angle in the question, and this one's opposite because it's looking out at the window. Right, what you've got now is you've got a worksheet to do. Great if you can print it. You just got to label them O, A and H. Sometimes you've got to put the angle in the question because it's already given you the opposite or the adjacent. So you need to fill in those, and then you can, I've also put the answers in there so you can check them off. Like I say, it's really important that you're able to label the two sides, the three sides even, the three sides to answer the trig questions that we're going to be looking at in more detail next lesson. Okay, right, so that's the first fundamental. The next fundamental is learning the three trig ratios. So now you're probably thinking, now it's starting to look a little bit more complicated. I've got to learn these three formula. Notice there I've put in theta. Okay, that means the angle in the question we said. So I'm just using it as a sort of a substitute at the moment. Now, what we have here is on each of the trig ratios is two of the sides. So I've got an opposite and hypotenuse, an adjacent and hypotenuse, and an opposite and tan. Opposite and an adjacent. Right, and then we've got three words here. Now you've probably seen those on your calculator and always been wondering what they're for. So we call this sine, cosine and tangent, but actually it looks like sin. It's abbreviated to 3 letters. So you'll often hear me referring to it as sine, cos and tan. Okay, and that's how we say it. I know it looks like sin, okay, but we say sine. So sine, cos and tan. Now you have to learn these. Now it looks like it might be quite complicated, but there's a nice easy way of doing it. And I put them into little, so I start with this one, so so, ca, toa. So you'll see this bit here, so, ca, toa. Now, every time you have a question and we're looking at right angle triangles, I would get in the habit of writing out these three. So you need to learn them off by heart. Now, we're going to have a mnemonic to help us learn that, and that's your second task of today's lesson. You simply need to come up with a mnemonic to learn SOHCAHTOA. So, for example, now I can't seem to shake this. So, when I was at school, my maths teacher told me it was save our house, come and help, tell our auntie. So that's an example of a mnemonic. So what you're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun here. You're going to come up with a mnemonic. Okay, it shouldn't take you too long. Keep it sensible and something that you can actually remember. Okay, so if they're like random words pushed together, you're not going to remember it. Okay, and you'll find that even still now, in my ripe old age, I still, when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking of save our house, come and help. Okay, when I'm writing out my 3 trig triangles. So keep it clean, year 9s. Okay, and then all I want you to do is write out your mnemonic and attach it to assignments. Okay, hopefully that's not too much this lesson. Okay, and then next lesson, you might want to start next lesson if this hasn't taken you an hour, because next lesson we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of trig and looking at how we can use that. Okay, make sure you've got your scientific calculator, so you'll need to dig those out because you'll need those for the next lesson. Okay, good luck everyone. Goodbye.